Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this occasion, we would like to present our discussion about product-based CLT approach, text-based instruction, and competency-based instruction. Before we start our discussion, we would like to introduce our member of group. There are Nia Hidayatul Lailina, Mohammad, Dipta, Aditya, and Isna, Rodliyah, Safitri. The first material is text-based instruction. Next. And then the definition. Text-based instruction, also known as a genre-based approach, sees communicative competence as involving the mastery of different types of text. Text here is used in a special sense to refer to structure sequence of language that are used in specific contexts in specific ways. According to Fish and Joyce at 1998, the TBI is based on an approach to teaching language which involves A. Teaching explicitly about the structures and grammatical features of spoken and written text. B. Linking spoken and written text to the cultural context of their use. C. Designing units of work which focus on developing skills in relation to whole text. D. Providing students with guided work practice as they develop language skill for meaningful communication through whole text. And then the next slide will be presented with my friends.
Okay, so the next is contents of a text-based syllabus. There are six contents. For the first exchanges, it is simple exchanges relating to information and goods and services, complex or problematic exchanges, and also casual conversation. And forms, simple formatted text, and complex formatted text. And the third, procedures. There are instructions, procedures, and protocols. And the fourth, information text, like descriptions, explanations, reports, or directives, and text which combine one or more of these text types. And the fifth is story text, like recounts and narrative text. And the last one is persuasive text. There are opinion text, expositions, and discussions. Implementing a text-based approach, there are there are 5 phases. The first is building the content, and the second phase is modeling and deconstructing the text, and the third phase, joint construction of the text. The fourth phase, independent construction of the text, and the fifth phase, linking to related text. Next slide. Problems with implementing a text-based approach. Critics have pointed out that an emphasis on individual creativity and personal expression is missing from the TBI model, which is heavily wedded to a methodology based on the study of model text, and the creation of text based on models. Likewise, critics point out that there is a danger that the approach becomes repetitive and boring over time, since the five-phase cycle described before, is applied to the teaching of all four skills. The next is competency-based instruction. The definition of competency-based instruction. Next slide. Yes, the definition is competency-based instruction is an approach to the planning and delivery of courses that has been in widespread use since the 1970s. The application of its principle to language teaching is called competency-based language teaching, or CBLT, an approach that has been widely used as the basis for the design of work-related and survival-oriented language teaching programs for adults. For the next slide will be presented by Adit.
Okay, the next is our back at 1986 identifies that 8 features involved in the implementation of CBLT programs in language teaching. And there is 8 kinds. The first is a focus on successful functioning in society. And second is a focus on life skills. The third is task or performance-oriented instruction. And fourth is modular instruction. The fifth is outcomes are made explicit. And the next is continuous and going assessment. And the seventh demonstrated mastery of performance objectives. And the last is individualist student-centered instruction. Okay, the next is implementing a competency-based approach. The starting point in course planning is therefore an identification of the text the learner will need to carry out within a specific setting and the language demands of those texts. The competencies needed for successful text performance are then identified and used as the basis for course planning. Part of a specification of competencies for a job training course, the student will be able to A, identify different kinds of jobs using simple help-wanted aids. B, describe personal work experience and skill. C, demonstrate ability to fill out a sample job application with assistance. D, produce required forms of identification for employment. E, identify social security, income tax deduction, and tax forms. F, demonstrate understanding of employment expectation, rules, regulation, and safety. G, demonstrate understanding of basic instruction and ask for clarification on the job. And the last, H is demonstrate appropriate treatment of co-workers. And the last is problems with implementing a competency-based approach. Critics of CBLT have argued that this approach looks easier and neater than it is. They point out that analyzing situation into tasks and underlying competencies is not always feasible or possible, and that often little more than intuition is involved. They also suggest that this is a reductionist approach. Language learning is reduced to a set of lists, and such things as thinking skills are ignored.
Okay, guys, thank you for your attention. Any questions? Ada yang mau tanya nggak? Kalau nggak, tak akhiri ya. I think that's all for our presentation. If you want to ask, you can contact the member of group. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Thank
wabarakatuh.
you.